Good afternoon, everyone. It's live at 5 on the Rangers Rabble Network. I'm Bryan. I'm hosting tonight, funnily enough, and you can see the boss man is sitting there. So I am hosting tonight, but I'm joined, as you can see, by Martin and Demi. Martin, how are we?
Brilliant.
That's all you need to know, folks. That's all you need to know. Yes, absolutely. And Demi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you. How are you?
Very good. Very good. So, Martin,
How are you, Bryan?
I'm doing great. Absolutely fantastic.
I probably should have asked that as well. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. A good Monday started off with the email from Rangers getting a ticket for the Old Firm, so absolutely delighted. First time since the Ekiog overhead kick, I will be revisiting that stadium. So hopefully it's similar.
Did it say Old Firm or did it say Glasgow Derby? Because I'm confused now.
I can't remember. It was from Rangers, so I'm assuming it said Old Firm, but they're not going to be as petty as other teams. But never mind. We're on the post day of Rangers winning 1-0 against Hibernian. Martin, again, another game where performance went out the window and the result mattered, and it was a hard-fought win, wasn't it?
I done the recorded post-match last night, and I haven't yet been able to watch the game back. I will do probably after this show. But I was actually relatively happy. We not so much. Look, we didn't play sparkling football. We weren't easy on the eye, but we were in control. It's from what I can remember, because I've got a dreadful memory. But we were in control. I don't really remember coming away for the game and going, "Oh, Hibs could have scored with that chance," or "Hibs could have scored with this chance." We brought in Finlay Curtis, which I was really happy about. Didn't have a phenomenal game. Didn't stand out, but got minutes for me, which is just as important as standing out right now for the young guy. He needs to get a run of games, which I hope that he now gets. I was happy with the defence. I was happy with Fernandez. I thought he had a good game. Giga seems to be improving every week for me. And Max Aaron's at right back. He's got that. I'm not saying he's the saviour for us, right? And absolutely, I wouldn't be signing him at the end of his loan deal. But he offers more than Tav. He's got more legs than Tav. He can get back quicker than Tav. He makes us slightly safer for me defensively, even though for me he's not shown that he's good enough to play for Rangers. But with the options that we've got, for me, he's the more sound player. I thought Bryan was excellent again. Yeah. Last night, all over the park, didn't stop. Diamande was Diamande. He's in the game, he's out the game. He is what he is. So, yeah, do you know what? It's the third game against Hibs this season. We haven't conceded a goal. We've won again. We've got an opportunity now on Sunday to go and claw back more points on Hearts and more points on Celtic, depending on how they got on Wednesday. So, I think from where the season started, Bryan, that game last night, I come away from that and go, Danny Rose improving this team every week.
Yeah, I think you can absolutely say that, Demi. I mean, what is it? 6 wins and 2 draws in the league so far since Danny Rose came in. As I think he said when he first came in, look, things aren't going to be pretty all the time. It's going to be more about the result rather than the performance. I think, as most of the people in the comments are saying, as Martin's saying, we were largely in control of last night. I think there was a little period. I think the manager said it in the the post-match interview that the 10 minutes to 25 minutes, we were a little bit shaky. They had a lot of set pieces, corners, free kicks. They were piling on a bit of pressure. But outside that, the second half certainly there was virtually nothing. So in the end, it actually turned out a comfortable 1-0 win.
Yeah, going on what Martin said about the game, I agree. Connor Barron was really good, and I thought Mikey Moore played really well last night. I think since Danny Rose come in, he's only sort of getting better and better as the games go on. So, hopefully he can keep building on that. I was a bit shocked, to see Duchan Sterling in from the start, but I think looking at him, you wouldn't have thought he'd been out injured for that long. Thought he was brilliant last night. And, the only, like Martin said, there's not really any times that you thought, Hibs could have scored, barring the one that Dujon Styling cleared off the line. But, apart from that, there was never any, we got unlucky there, or we got lucky there. Sorry, I think it was, just the one. You know, it was good to see Quinton Enciala come in last night. You know, he's been the forgotten man since Kelly away. So, you know, it's nice to sort of see him in. And I thought, you know, still didn't get a goal, but, you know, I thought Chermiti played all right last night. You know, so there was a lot of good performances in there. Connor Barron he's your man of the match. But yeah, you know, like you say, Danny Rose won 6 of his 8 games and he's drawn 2. So, you know, he's still yet to lose a game, and 3 points is 3 points, whether you win 1-0 or 25-0. You know, as long as at least, you know, now we have the ability to we appear to have the ability to, you know, grind these games out and hold on to a 1-0 league. A few months ago, we didn't even have that, you know, but I think Tynecastle on Sunday's the real test. Yeah, it's all great being Hibs at Ibrox and, you know, getting points here and there, but I think the real test is going to be Tynecastle on Sunday. But, you know, I think if we can take something from that game, there could be a more positive season ahead than what we originally thought.
I mean, look, Bryan, we are going to drop points throughout the season. Yeah. Right? We are going to drop points, Celtic are going to drop points, and Hearts are going to drop points, because it's 2 average Old Firm teams and a Hearts team that's riding a bit of a crest of a wave now. But you don't know what's going to happen if they pick up a wee injury here or there, or they lose a couple of games in a row. What's going to happen to them, right? So the 3 teams at the top of the league are going to drop points. I think what's important is now, moving forward with Danny Rule, we don't overreact to dropping points, because we have to look and really look at this team and go, this is not a team that can go the season unbeaten. This team is not at that level of quality. Now, January, the problem we're going to have is the way that even I've been talking is that we think that we're going to make 3 or 4 signings in January and it's all of a sudden going to change the team. It might, but it might not, Bryan. And I think we have to just get into a headspace of, look, we're going to drop points. We're going to have games where we don't play that well. As long as we're within touching distance, or at any point we're ahead and we don't lose it, then we just need to calm a little bit.
I do think.
On you go, Dan.
Yeah, you know, Martin, I do agree with you. I do think we can't overreact, you know, if we're dropping points throughout the season. But I think the overreaction from the fans, it doesn't necessarily come when we drop points. It's in the manner in which we've been dropping points. You know, if they go out and, you know, they're all fighting for each other and they're running through brick walls, you can't argue that. You know, if you're dropping points, then you're dropping points. But, you know, it's when, you know, the start of the season and, you know, when we are dropping points, it's because nobody's sort of trying a leg, or they're playing for individuals and not as a team. So I think the overreactions is going to come depending on the manner of the points that's been dropped, as opposed to actually us dropping points.
Yeah, definitely. Martin, one guy I want to speak about is Emmanuel Fernandez. Picking up his 3rd goal for Rangers. Another header, funnily enough. Kind of helps when you're 6'4", you can get above a lot of people. So, but he's starting to show, or starting to at least prove that his selection's worthy in the team now. Because I think when he was first obviously brought into the team, he was, you know, there was this, he hasn't played much. You know, we haven't seen him, so how, you know, but he's actually starting to turn me anyway. I'm starting to feel that he's not only one of these defenders that, in the end of the day, he is a defender, but he is willing to, you know, get forward at set pieces and, you know, put his head on the line, because, you know, that was a difficult sort of finish last night, wasn't it? And I mean, again, he's not one of these pretty defenders that tries to, you know, take the ball out of the defence and, you know, do something with it. He knows his limits. He knows he has to move it on to other people to then start the attacks. But I think from an attacking point of view, he's an absolute beast of a sort of weapon, isn't he?
Yes, but he has a lot of improving to do as well. For me, 24 years old. When do defenders usually hit their peak? Is it 26, 27? Defenders usually hit their peak. So he's got a lot of work to do. I still do worry sometimes about his positional sense, about tricky situations. He seems to get lost a little bit. But as of last night, I thought he was excellent. And like you say, Bryan, the goal, as somebody who is a professional 7-a-side player, I can confirm that is not an easy header, by the way. That is not an easy header, and he took it brilliantly. And that's something that we've lacked, I think, since Goldson, as a threat for set pieces for our defence. It's all well and good pointing to pointing to Miovski and Chermiti and Danilo and saying they need to score more goals, which they absolutely do. But we need goals from other areas of the pitch. And if we can get that, if Fernandez, brilliant. A lot of improvement to do, which I think he will do, because I think he's improved since he first came in as well. But he does, I don't know, Brian, do you think he's a confidence defender?
I think so. I actually do. I think the more he plays, I think very much like Mikey Moore, for example. Mikey Moore came in, wasn't sort of great when he started, but the more he played, the more games he got. Now you're starting to see the quality of him now. And I think Fernandez is exactly the same. I think ultimately, Martin, footballers are all confidence players. If they're not playing, they come in and out. You're a bit rusty. You're not quite sure of where things, how to position yourself sometimes perfectly. But I think all footballers are ultimately confidence players, because if you're not playing, you get a bit down in the dumps and you're struggling to get up for games. Whereas if you know you're going to be featuring every week, there's you've got a bit of a bounce about you, haven't you?
Yeah, and you need that. You absolutely need that. But like I say, he's I mean, there's a lot of people in the comments, and they're right. And just before I come to that, Donald, 15 months a member. Thank you very much, Donald. We're going to win the league. I'm with you, Donald. Although I can't say it, because the last time I said that, it truly, truly backfired on me. Like I say, just about Fernandez, sorry. Yeah, encouraging, but he's got a lot more improvement to do. And what won't help him is the chopper and changing it back next to him as well, now that Jake is away. Yeah,
that's the thing. I've always said, I think I've said it many times on this podcast, that you need a settled defence. You need the same five at the back for most of the season. I appreciate that not everybody's going to have the endurance to play most games in the league and cups and stuff, but in the main, you need to have a core six, say, that you can rotate one or two now and again. But to get an understanding between the goalkeeper, the centre halves, the full backs, you need a settled six, I would say, that you can rotate around. And if there's like the 3 games in a week, for example, you need to rotate people, then there's that option. But Demi, coming on to Conor Barron again, he probably let himself. He didn't have his best game in Ferencváros. But by word, he came back last night, and what a performance that was.
Yeah, look, I won't tell everyone I told them so, but, I said to everyone at the games about 18 months before we signed him that he'd be great for us and we should have signed him. And everyone told me to shut up. It would never happen. He wouldn't play well for us. So I won't tell all those people that told me to shut up that I told them so. But I told them so. But yeah, look, I think Conor Barron sort of, is exactly what you need in there. He's young. He's despite his height, he's quite physical. I mean, he's about 3 foot nothing, and he'll jump for everything. So it's sort of, it's what you need in there. He'll challenge for everything. And at times last night, and in previous games, I did feel a bit bad for sort of him and adding Mikey Moore into it, because they're constantly running for the ball and trying to find passes and make movements whilst no one else is moving for him. So I do so I do feel a bit bad for him, but I think he didn't come in straight away, and get loads of game time. He's had to fight for it, and I think, he's absolutely showed why he deserves to be there. So yeah, I think it's his place to lose, and he's absolutely fought for it. And if he keeps going the way he's going, I hate to say it in December, but he keeps going the way he's going, he'll be our player of the season.
Possibly, absolutely. Before the game, Martin, the team lines came out, and to say there was a sharp in-breath of air when the team line came out is putting it mildly. I mean, nobody's seen Tav and Raskin getting dropped. Sterling starting. He made a few ballsy moves last night, didn't he? He that could have went horribly long for him. But I'll tell you what, it's you look good when it comes right, don't you?
I love the fact that nobody on this podcast can get metaphors correct. It's honestly, it's superb. He was forced into the Raskin one though, wasn't he, with injury? Although, albeit, I think it might have. Hindsight's 2020, innit? That's how you say that, Brian. But I would have dropped Raskin anyway, because I don't feel as if he's been adding to the team. I don't think drops may be harsh. Maybe I'd have rotated him and left him out the squad and brought in a Diamande to see if he could improve, keep Barron in there, etc., etc. But he was forced to rest Barron, to rest Raskin. Sorry, and I think it made sense to everybody that Tav couldn't play yesterday because he was blowing his arse against Ferencváros and he was slowing the play down when he came on the park anyway. So I think that was evident. I don't think we'd have had the same impetus if Tav had started the game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, Gassam Demi, he nearly got a goal last night if it wasn't for offside. I thought that when it happened, I was delighted, obviously, because it would have sealed the game. But more for just him, he's almost one of these guys that needs a winger. Wingers need to play. Confidence to have the sort of arrogance and the sort of confidence to take on fullbacks and centre halves. I was so gutted for him that it just didn't. It didn't stand.
Yeah, like you say there, everyone does, but sort of particularly attacking players, they strive on goals, and it can really push them on, or so they say. Chermeti scored in, I believe, was it Dundee? I think it was, and everyone said, "Look, that's him. He's got his goal. He's going to go on a run," and he's not scored since. So generally you say that a goal kick starts everything for you, but it's sort of proven against us this season. But yeah, absolutely gutted that it was offside. But I think, and Gassama's not the only one guilty of it, but a lot of our attacking players, they appear to have an over amount of confidence to sort of take on defenders, because we're beating them once, turning, beating them again, turning, trying to beat them a third time, just beat them once and cross the ball. I don't know. They've got some sort of extraordinary confidence going on that they're not showing by trying to beat the man 5 times and then losing the ball anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Martin, going back to the sort of results that Danny Rose had, that's 5 clean sheets he's had. Now, I think when the season's, after Russell Martin, a clean sheet was something far, far on the horizon for us. We were never looking like keeping a clean sheet, but that's 5 now. He's done incredibly well, hasn't he?
Amazing. I mean, I think, do you know how good a job he's done? I think we've actually forgot how poor defensively we were under Russell Martin. I think that's how good a job he's done, to be honest. I remember back to Martin's first game, second game, third game, and we're never going to keep a clean sheet again because we're so open. But what he did mention was in his presser, he mentioned the fact that he felt as if we were a wee bit too open in the middle of the park. So I think you might see some slight tweaks and some slight changes, especially heading to Hearts at the weekend. But no, the job he's done defensively has been phenomenal. It's just offensively, we're still relatively sheepish, I think is the best word to use.
Yeah, certainly. I think Paul put it in the comments, Demi, earlier on, that the sort of average age of that midfield last night was 22. Remarkably young. Is that something that the manager's maybe got in his mind in January, that maybe he just needs a body in there with a bit of we all thought Rothwell was going to be that guy with the experience, but Rothwell hasn't turned out to be that guy. So is he going to, obviously with the links that Rothwell's going to Sheffield United, is that something that he's maybe going to readdress in the January window, that he's going to try and get experience to help these young lads out?
Look, I mean, maybe potentially, but I wouldn't expect him to go into a window, looking at sort of the age of players to sort of see who we sign. I would hope that he'd be looking at sort of appearances, goals, contributions. I'd rather have 5 players under the age of 19 or under the age of 22, who can consistently show up, than have 3 young players and 2 old guys who don't really do an awful lot. So potentially, but I would expect that he'd be looking more for what they can bring to a game, as opposed to sort of their age and the sort of experience that they've had with prior clubs.
Can I just bring something up, Bryan, if that's all right? I don't know if you remember, right at the start of the season, I mentioned a manager in the league when we were looking for a manager that would come in and do a job, right? Now, I think I've been proven right that manager probably could have come into Rangers and done a job. But I also mentioned a player at the start of the season, Bryan, and I got laughed at, right? Absolutely laughed at. He's never Rangers quality. He's never Rangers class. You don't know what you're talking about. What are you doing talking about that? And lo and behold, everybody's talking about Gogic now, isn't they? Everybody's talking about Gogic now. Oh, we've got the Rangers review saying, oh, he would be a great signing. We've got other Rangers podcasts talking about him. We've got the media talking about him. But when Marty Boy mentions him at the start of the season, he gets laughed at. That's funny, that, isn't it?
See, Martin, I think the thing is, Gogic, I do agree. I agree with both with both arguments here. I do agree that, Gogic probably isn't Rangers class and shouldn't be here. But then I also agree that he could do a shift here, because it doesn't matter who he's playing for. He is very much a player. He'll go out and get the job done. You know what I mean? He's sort of, but I think some of the stuff he gets away with St Mirren, as soon as he pulls on a Rangers shirt, he's not getting away with that.
Well, all I'm saying, Demi, is that I was right about the slippers, I was right about Robinson, and I was right about Gogic. And now we've got people in here and members saying, oh, I agreed with you about Gogic. No, you never.
Is it not just nice to, take
be
a
right?
little bit?
Yes, it's lovely to be right, Brian.
Yeah. But there's no need to rub it in. You know what I mean?
No, there absolutely is, because I'm never right. So see, when I'm going to rub it in until I can rub it in, until it's rubbed out. That's not.
I don't think he would work. I don't think he would work for us, because he'd be sent off every week. He's a great player. He's a great player, who does well with St Mirren. But some of the things he gets away with there, he pulls on a Rangers shirt, it's a red card before he's even committed half the challenges he makes.
Demi, do not. I was going to say something that we only say on the member shows. Do not spoil my pancakes, right? I was right about Gogic, right? Accept it, and move on.
Right, okay. You didn't need to say it again. You said it once. That's fine. I
was right about Gogic.
Just leave it there.
Wait a minute. Robinson, who's sitting ninth at the moment. Robinson, who's just won a League Cup and who's finished in the top 6 with St Mirren in the last 3 years, and they're having a wee bit of a dip in the league. He's just won a League Cup against Celtic at Hampden. Sit down, Sniper. Sit down.
Right, we'll swiftly move on from that chat.
I get a bit aggressive when I'm right, Brian.
I see. Yeah, I've seen that in the past. Yeah. So, according to Foot Mercato, an outlet, that we are interested in player Martin Pierre. Now I'm going to try and pronounce this name correctly.
Equa.
Is it Equa? Right. Okay, I'll go with that. The former Sunderland midfielder has been locked in a wrong-running legal dispute with Saint Etienne after joining the French club on a permanent basis at the end of last season. Equa spent the campaign on loan from Sunderland, with Saint Etienne exercising their option to buy him, despite being relegated from League One to League Two or League One. The 23-year-old reportedly refused to play in the second tier, leading to a breakdown in relations. After a tense summer and a failure to reach an amicable solution, Equa opted to terminate his contract with Saint Etienne. Since then, he has been placed in furlough, with his last competitive appearance against Toulouse on May the 17th. Now, obviously, he was on loan there, so that was fine. He was playing in Ligue 1, and then all of a sudden, Saint Etienne are relegated, Martin. The club then have obviously agreed a certain fee with Sunderland. They've exercised it. He's signed, but he's turned around and says, "Well, I'm not wanting to play in League 2, so I'm not playing." I mean, this is a bit messy, isn't it?
It is. And is it really something that you want to bring into your football club? I'm not sure. Again, it's a really weird one, because I was saying to you before we started, well, how, if he's just signed for the club, is he out of contract? Initially, I thought it was out of contract at the end of the season, and I thought, no club's paying 6.1 million for a 1-year contract, right? That's just not happening. It's a bit of a mess. Do we want to get involved in that and then get told if we buy him that the courts have changed their mind and he's illegally ripped up his contract and he can't play? I don't know. It's just a bit of a mess, Brian. I would rather we played it safe this transfer window. I think we need to play it safe. We need to get the right players in. And what we don't need is, like what Alan Austin's saying, a legal mess.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Demi, this is some, regardless how good this guy is, played, youth French games, obviously a really good player, but this is not something we need, is it?
No, absolutely not. And I mean, even taking away the legal side of it, it shouldn't matter who you play for. If you're any form of football player, at any level, your number one priority should be, getting minutes and wanting to play and show what you can do to get a way out of there, instead of, throwing your toys out the pram and saying, no, I'm not playing, rip up my contract, put me on furlough or whatever. I think, even if you're not happy where you are, you play and, give other clubs a reason to come in and sign you. So I think, for his own personal career, it's not really a great look. But yeah, so I think we could do without the legal battle, but we also need players, who'll come in and play regardless of the situation, not pick and choose when they want to play. Because, we go on touch wood, but, if something goes wrong, does he just say he's not going to play? Not for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I really want to steer clear of this one, Martin. And again, I'm at loath to go down this route, as you say, legally wise. It's this. You don't know when this is going to end. This is the other thing. By January, he might still be embroiled, and then you're stuck chasing a guy that you can't sign because he's still under contract with another club. So this is a mess you don't want to get involved in. And Gogic is out under contract till 2027, just to clarify.
But by the way, and also he's part of a team that got relegated. So
yeah.
I mean, I've never seen him play. I can't sit here and go, he's a phenomenal player or anything like that, or he's a rubbish player. I don't know. I've never seen him play. But he was part of a team that got relegated. So, yeah, I think we should move on to different targets.
I think his stats aren't great either. I mean, whatever, he's a midfielder of somewhere, but I believe I read somewhere that he said that his top choice would be, box-to-box midfielder, and in just under 100 games between Sunderland and, for when he was in France. I think it's 97 games or something, he scored 6 goals. Now, for a midfielder to score 6 goals in 97 games doesn't really strike me as a, let's go out and pay money to have him here. Not for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, definitely not. And did you like the manager's post-match interview, Martin? Because I thought he spoke extremely well. He wasn't shouting from the rooftops, and, he was just very calm, very assured. Knew that they didn't play well, but the 3 points mattered. Yeah, is he maturing?
I think he's been like that since day dot, since he came in. I think it's us as supporters, I think, who are calming down a little bit. And I include myself in that. Calming down slightly, that I'm not overreacting every time we don't play well when we scrape a win. Or even the Dundee United game. We played probably some of the best football we've played under Danny Rule, but we drew the game. And normally we would come out, and I probably did come out after that and get angry and raging. But I think it's the supporters that are starting to change a little bit towards Danny Rule, because I think when you take a step back and you look at everything that he's done since he came in, take Europe out of the equation, because this team is just nowhere near good enough, right, to play in Europe. It's really not. Paul was one of our members, was absolutely spot on, and I was still a little bit stuck in the old, looking back the previous seasons. Well, if we can just get one win, then it might spur the team on. We're not good enough. We're just not good enough. So out with Europe, I think as supporters, we look at the job that Danny Rule's done, and it's been a really, really, really good job. Really good job since he came in. But he's never moved from his position. So I don't think it's him that's changing. I think it's us.
I mean, yeah, he said that last night. He said that was in his post-match last night or somewhere. He said that, the support from the fans was great, and, it's really pushing them on. So he realizes what the fans are thinking, and he can see the change yourself. So yeah,
I mean, nothing was going to be pretty, Martin, at the start of this process, was it? We were never going to play, fancy football. We were never going to, play prime Barcelona stuff. But at the same time, the fans were just wanting a bit of genuine effort, weren't they? Because they weren't seeing that at the start of the season. You can get by with a little bit of effort. As long as you've got the effort, you can get by. If you haven't got this, the necessary tools at your sort of disposal, then you can get by with just the effort at the very least. But that was the problem at the start of the season, wasn't it? We weren't seeing the effort; it wasn't there. And then you sprinkle in a decent coach that can take a few players under his wing and get the best out of them. I mean, he's done a remarkable job. I never envisaged him going 6-2, no losses. Never imagined that, did you?
Never. Never in a million years when you consider what he came into. And not just the ability of the players, but the confidence level of the players that he came into. They were at rock bottom, absolute rock bottom. And he mentioned it a few times in some of his early post-match interviews that they seem to be a little bit scared sometimes, especially if they go a goal down or a team's on top for 15, 20 minutes. So, listen, I can't praise Danny Rowe highly enough so far for the job that he's done at Rangers. I'm really, really impressed with the guy. And I hope the club back him properly in January. I hope the club bring in the right signings in January, because if we do, and I mean, look, a lot of this conversation could change after Sunday, right? It could change after. We'll need to wait and see how we perform during the Hearts game, but let's not kid ourselves. That's an extremely difficult game. Difficult game. So we'll wait and see what happens after that, and then we'll wait and see what happens in the final few games of December, and of course, the Old Firm on the 3rd of January.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said, Demi, that this game last night was the one that we should be focusing on. Now that's out of the way, the focus shifts on to Sunday, doesn't it? It literally is this cliche of one game at a time, isn't it? We can't be looking at the Aberdeen games or the Celtic game, because we've got far too many obstacles in front of us before them, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, you've got to look at your next game, and you get the result in there, and you look towards the next one, and just go game at a time. But I think this sort of festive period between sort of now and the 3rd of January, I think it's going to tell a lot about Danny Rowe and sort of the mentality that he's managed to get in the players. Not only are results particularly important, we're now I believe we're what, are we 9 points behind Hearts with a game in hand, and we've got to play them on Sunday. None of us could have ever imagined that when we sacked Russell Martin. Sorry, his name escaped me there. Yeah, when we sacked Russell Martin, so he's got us into a sort of much better position than when he came in. But it's to see if he can keep doing that. It's all well, causing getting us up when there isn't really that much pressure. But when you now have the sort of the chance to go 3 points behind, it's when we'll really see how he coaches. So yeah, I think the next sort of 2-3 weeks are vital for Danny Rowe and this lot of Rangers players.
Martin, I said after the Old Firm game would be the sort of point of where we'd see where we are league-wise, but I'll have to refresh that and say the 11th of January is going to be the date that I'll be looking at as where we're going to be facing the league, because we've got Aberdeen twice after Celtic back-to-back. So that'll be, for me, a weighted Aberdeen on the 11th of January is going to be the date that I'm looking at in the calendar and say, right, what have we done from now till then? The Hearts away, the Celtic away, the Aberdeen home, Aberdeen away. That's the sort of games I'm looking at. You've got Motherwell home, St Mirren in between that. But the 11th of January is where you're going to look at is where can this Rangers team go? Can they somehow claw themselves back into this league campaign? And this, as I say, up till the 11th of January, that fixtures are monstrous.
I'm only looking at Sunday. That's the only game I'm looking at. Because that's we can't underestimate how massive a game that is and how psychologically big that game is, by the way.
I think
all I was saying, James Butler, was I am reiterating that the 11th of January is my new next date to look at, as in where we are. I thought the
11th of January won't matter if we lose to Hearts and lose to Celtic.
That's what I'm saying.
Nothing. Then it'll mean absolutely nothing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. There you go.
So sorry. I think Sunday's going to be. It's harder mentally than I think the actual game's going to be. I mean, I watched Hearts on Saturday night when they played Falkirk, and I wasn't overly impressed. Yeah, they won 2-0, but I mean, they're playing a Falkirk team. And obviously, I know we couldn't beat them, but I wasn't overly impressed with what I was seeing, and the way that we've sort of turned up to play these games. I expect it to be more of a mental challenge than it will be a physical challenge. I think Hearts aren't as good as as they seemed at the beginning of the season. It's been a while since they've had sort of those high scoring wins, and they've sort of played as well as they were back then. I think the biggest challenge going into Sunday is going to be the mental battle.
True.
Bryan, going to check the private chat and StreamYard, please. Because I've messaged you, I've private chatted you, you're just ignoring me.
Okay, fair enough. That's enough of Martin being right for a pod. We've had enough of that tonight, folks, so we'll call it a day there. We'll be back later on tonight, Martin, are we?
Yeah, we're back at 7. It's Ian Thompson tonight And I've had them messaging me throughout this whole show, going, "You're taking all my subjects, you're taking all my points." I'm like, no. You can come up with your own subjects, you can come up with your own points.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I've had them moaning at me, Bryan.
Martin, he demanded his own show. He's got it, so let him
He
get on
demanded
with it.
his own show on the Rabble Network. He's got his own show on the Rabble Network, so he can't complain.
Exactly. There we go, folks.
And of course, I'm live at 9 o'clock tonight with your Q&A for CEO Plus members. The Thompson's Tuesdays is live at 7 for all channel members. So if you aren't a channel member yet and you want to tune into that show, it is live at 7 p.m. Just links are in the description for either YouTube or Patreon, whatever one you prefer. But also, please do like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Give us a share on Twitter, and a like on Twitter, and a follow on Twitter. And if you're watching on Patreon, then sign up. There we go.
Absolutely. So there you go, folks. A couple of shows coming up tonight. Tune in if you can. My thanks to Martin and Demi for joining me today. Martin, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I couldn't read that. It flashed up so quick. Demi, thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Good chat, guys. Nice to have you all in the comments as well. We'll see you back at 7 o'clock tonight. We'll possibly... Oh, the Ashes, Martin. Shona's just dived in with the Ashes there.
Yes.
There we go.
We'll be live for the Ashes on the Rabble Network as well.
There we go. Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, folks. And we'll speak very, very soon.
Morning on.